Radhe Radhe everyone. Today we are going to watch a video about Gavo, Saba, Hillimilli, Radhe. How can we do devotion to Radha Rani? What is the practical form of devotion to Radha Rani? You can gain the necessary understanding from this kirtan. Gavo Sabu Hillimilli Radhe, 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 Radhe by Jagadguru Shri Kripalu Maharaj, and it's translated by Divakari Devi Ji from Radha Mother Dham, United States of America. My humble pranams to my Divine Master, Divine Lotus Feet, for giving the world the precious knowledge of Shri Radha, and not only the knowledge, but he has, due to his costlessly merciful nature, my Divine Master has given the world the precious beautiful forms of Shri Radhakrishna for all of us to meditate upon, along with the Leelas, virtues, qualities, names, abodes, etc. My all-gracious Guru is my only refuge. My all-gracious Guru is my only refuge. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of my great spiritual Master, who endows virtue to virtue itself. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of the great spiritual Master, who liberates worldly souls from the bondage of Maya. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of the great spiritual Master, who makes us free from the influence of Triguna, Tritapa, and all kinds of sins. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of the great spiritual Master, who helps us to cross Bhava Sahara, the ocean of Maya. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of the great spiritual Master, by whose grace one can transcend Panchakosha, the 5 sheaths of Maya. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of the great spiritual Master. Through his grace, one can easily be freed from Panchaklesha, the 5 afflictions. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of that great spiritual Master, who gives full protection to his devotees and provides them with unlimited divine treasure. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of that great spiritual Master. His lotus feet are the shelter of the shelterless. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of that great spiritual Master, who is all merciful, who inspires everyone to love the Lord with the sentiment of Gopi Bhava. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of that all-gracious spiritual Master, who graces the deserving souls with love and devotion to Shri Radhakrishna. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of that all-loving spiritual Master. O my Master, I beg only for divine love, not for liberation. I reverentially pay my obeisance unto the lotus feet of my great spiritual Master. people are truly blessed being in his holy association. The dissension of love and bliss, my beloved master beautifully reconciles the apparent contradictory views in the Vedas and the Shastras. He is selflessly distributing the priceless treasure of divine love by guiding us to sing the glories of the names, forms, pastimes, qualities, and abodes of Shri Radhakrishna. O foolish mind, do not rely on the world, instead seek the shelter of the Guru's lotus feet. Without the Guru's grace, even Shri Krishna cannot help you. In the loving protection of my benevolent Guru, I feel totally secure, and my miserable condition of being an orphan, alienated from God, my divine parents, since time immemorial, is gone forever. Gavo, Saba, Hillimilli, Radhey. How can we do devotion to Radha Rani? What is the practical form of devotion to Radha Rani? You can gain the necessary understanding from this kirtan. Gavo, Saba, Hillimilli, Radhey. Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. If someone asks, oh brother, for how long am I going to chant Radhe, Radhe? Oh, I have little energy, I may lose my voice, my body may become tired, my mind may become exhausted. How long will I chant? So further it is explained. तहखु नाम गत जब राधे श्वास श्वास जब राधे 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 राधे. You see, there are two functions associated with breathing. One is inhalation and the other is exhalation. As you inhale in your heart, remember Ra without saying it with your mouth. As you exhale, remember Dhe. This is remembrance with every breath, Radhe. In this way, do jab, remembrance, without vocally saying Radhe name. If you get tired of doing jab, remembrance with every breath, then another solution is described. Sumriye nit chavi Radhe, 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 Radhe. You see, 9 kinds of bhakti is described in the scripture: Shravan, Smaran, Kirtan, Archan, Pad, Sevan, Bandhan, Dasya, Sakya, Atmanivedanam. Atmanivedan. You may practice any of these kinds of bhakti. It is dependent on your sanskars. Someone might be drawn more toward a particular form of bhakti. Do not criticize anyone. You can practice the bhakti that suits the desire of your mind. However, you should remember that you must do smaran, loving remembrance of the form of Kishoriji. If you do kirtan, jab, pad recitation of scriptures, puja, worship, do whatever you wish with your physical senses, but you must do smaran, remembrance with the mind. The mind alone is the cause of bondage and liberation. The Vedas describe that Chit, mind, is sansar, world. Ved Vyas explains that the mind is cause of bondage and the liberation. Upasana, worship, or bhakti, devotion, call it whatever you want, has to be done with the mind. You can also engage the physical senses. It is good. The physical senses will also get an opportunity to serve Radha Krishna. However, the main form of devotional practice is remembrance with the mind. Loving remembrance with the mind is like the soul of all devotional practices, and rest of the practices done with the physical senses, worship with hands, walking to a holy place, doing parikrama, darshan of deities with the eyes, listening to the divine virtues of Kishoriji, chanting the divine names, all of these are good, but they are not devotion. Upasana means to come close. We have to come close to them. Therefore, who will come close? Not the physical senses. The mind will come close. For this reason, ROOPDHYAN, loving remembrance of the form with the mind, comes first, followed by chanting of Radhe name. Who is Radhe? First bring Radhe in front of you and then say Radhe. Then only she will listen. Your mind is in the world and vocally you are saying Radhe. The chanting of the divine names of Radhe, Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini will only fructify if you will do ROOPDHYAN. Oh, Radhe could be the name of your mother, your sister, your daughter, your maid servant. Just casually saying Radhe name is not going to do the job. In devotion, ROOPDHYAN comes first and it is very essential to practice it. करहु कीर्तन या जब राधे, ध्यान सहित कर राधे, राधे राधे राधे. There are two kinds of dhyan, remembrance, two kinds of ROOPDHYAN of Kishoriji and Shri Krishna have to be practiced. One kind of ROOPDHYAN is that Radharani is standing before us and we are saying Radhe. In the world, any beggar will beg alms knowing that the giver is standing in front of him. In the same way, first bring Kishoriji in front of you. Now, whatever is the desire of your heart, you wish to become a selfless servant of Kishoriji. You desire the selfless divine love of Kishoriji. You can only express yourself if Kishoriji is standing in front of you. Therefore, develop such feelings that Kishoriji is standing before you and you are receiving her darshan. During ROOPDHYAN, think in your heart and mind of the divine decorations of Kishoriji, her charmingly divine form, Braj Ras, flowing from every pore of her divine body, divine fragrance emanating from her body, divine light radiating from her glorious personality that makes Paramahans forget his samadhi. In this way, evolve such feelings of closeness by making Radharani stand in front of you. This is ROOPDHYAN with the feeling of association, Milan. एक ध्यान कर मन माहन राधे, का दीन सामने राधे, राधे राधे राधे. गाओ सब हिलिमिली राधे, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. The second kind of dhyan, remembrance, is with a feeling of virag, separation. This kind of dhyan is the most excellent. Kishorji is standing before you, but the feeling should be that she is not talking to me, she is not looking at me, I am so fallen, you are Patit Pavani, the one who divinizes the sinful souls. Then why are you not gracing me with your divine vision? So you may talk to me, give me a divine love, make me your servant. The feeling of restlessness, yearning, extreme covetousness of Kishoriji's divine vision. Just like when you separate a fish from water, it flounders. Your mind should become like this. Gauranga Mahaprabhu describes in Sikshakshtak, my beloved Krishna, a moment of separation seems like millions of years have passed without you. Tears from my eyes never stop for a moment. The whole world has become blank. There remains no charm for me. Oh, my beloved Govind, your separation has made me so. We should develop such feelings in our heart, and what will happen upon us? Having such feelings, the defilements of our heart and mind will get washed away in the form of tears. The heart will then become purified. Your job is simply to purify your heart and mind. God and Guru will take care of the rest. You have no further responsibility. You cannot do anything beyond that. Bestowing divine love is the duty of God. You only have to prepare your path, purify your heart and mind. Tears of love and longing are compulsory in order to purify the heart and mind. This self-pride prevents us from shedding tears in front of God. This is not devotion. Deep yearning in the form of tears is mandatory. Tears will flow from the heart, will melt, and our beloved, for whom we are shedding tears, will enter our heart. For example, you take some wax and heat it properly. Heat it enough so that it can be strained through a 100-ply material and add any color to it. Now the color cannot be separated from the wax, and neither can the wax be separated from the color. In the same way, the heart will melt in the feeling of yearning for divine vision of Shyama Sundar and Kishoriji. Then they will enter your heart. After that, in the words of Surdas Ji, you can issue a loving challenge to God. Try and escape from my heart, and I shall see how mighty you are. Thus, the second form of dhyan, remembrance, is deep yearning and longing for their divine vision. This is a characteristic of bhakti, devotion. This is the characteristic of bhakti. All the saints, Vallabhacharya, Nimbagacharya, Gauranga Mahaprabhu have revealed this single form of bhakti. Deep and earnest yearning, restlessness for their divine vision. Do not go to God with any material desires in your heart. Beware of both demonesses, bhukti, material wealth, and mukti, liberation. Do not desire the world nor desire liberation. Desire the divine love, the servitude, the grace, the divine vision of Radha, Krishna. दूजो ध्यान करह नित राधे, मिलेन वेजी अब राधे, राधे राधे राधे. The human body is most dirty and the most useless, whereas the skins of animals and birds can be put to use. The human body is worth two shells, worthless. However, all the great celestial personalities like Indra, Varun, Kuber, Yamraj also desire the human body. Their bodies are far more superior than that of human beings. Fragrance keeps emanating from the bodies of celestial gods. They don't suffer from the disease of excreting bodily waste or odor. Then why is that they still desire the human body? The reason is that in this body, actions can be performed, sadhana can be done, bhakti, devotion can be done. For this reason, the human body is important. However, there is one flaw in this human body. What is it? It is unknown as to when it will perish. We always hear things like a child died right after birth. Oh, but I just heard that a child was born. Yes, he was, but died within 10 minutes of being born. Someone got a degree in BA, did MA, got admission into IAS, Indian Administration Services, was coming home, met an accident and died. He got admission into IAS, yes, he did, but he died. Someone became a collector, a commissioner, a governor, a prime minister, and died the following day. It does not matter if one is a Brahman, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, and dies, or if one is Brahmachari, Grihasti, Vanprasti, or Sannyasi. The four orders of life as described in our scriptures. In India or in America, one law applies to all. It is not known when the body is going to die. Without telling and without informing, Yamaraj takes people away. Come, times is up. There was a said, prosperous merchant who was planning to earn 10 times the profit for every dollar he spent. He was thinking, what strategy should I employ? This is mustard oil. What should I add to this? This is ghee. What should I add to this so that I can earn 10 times the profit? As he was making plans to become rich, Yamaraj showed up. Yamaraj said, Sethji, yes, tell me, why did you come? Come with me, your time is over. Oh, sir, but I am planning my future right now. Oh, forgot about all the planning. Come now, time is up. There was a said, prosperous merchant who was planning. Time is finished. It is over now. Come, you have earned whatever actions you were destined to earn. Now reap the punishment, reap the consequences of good actions and of bad actions as well. It is the greatest misunderstanding. We met many saints, all of them gave us devotional understanding. The divine speeches of Rasik saints gave us knowledge that human life is rare and precious. After receiving such a privilege, do Bhakti to Kishori Ji, we understood all this but did not accept anything. We see that someone's son passed and the father is still alive. Is this the law of God? No, it is not the law of God. It is the outcome of the actions of a soul. Why are you blaming God for it? When the dissension period of saints and God nears the end, Yamaraj comes and says, your time is up. It is up to you if you wish to stay longer. I have only come to remind you. Whereas he does not say this to saints and God, to the rest of the souls, Yamaraj say, come now, you have to leave in 1 second. निज गुरु इष्ट भक्ति में राधे, राग अनन्य मति राधे, राधे राधे राधे. Make note of 3 things: your Guru, your worship form of God, and sadhana, devotion. Maintain single-mindedness toward your Guru, the path of devotion as taught by a Guru, and your worshipped form of God. Do not listen to anything from any other Guru. Do not follow the devotional instructions as described by any other Guru, nor change the form of God you worship. We all suffer from this disease of going to thousands of preachers to hear lectures. One said this, the second said this, third said this. What is true? Mind became confused. Sankaracharya says soul is Brahm. Vallabhacharya, Nimbagacharya, etc. claim that soul is the servant. Whose philosophy can you believe as being true? Plus, how can you decide that one is a saint and the other is not? There are many paths described in the Vedas, many paths are described in the Puranas. Which ones should be believed as being true and which ones should be believed as being false? The more learnedness one will have, the more confused he will get. This is why the Vedas, Shastras, and Puranas have said, "Look, my brother, you cannot gain any knowledge by studying the scriptures. You find a saint who will teach you devotion according to the desire of your heart. If you love Radha Krishna and their loving divine Leelas, choose them as your worshipped form of God. If you love Sita Ram, choose them as your worshipped form of God. Thus, first of all, make the form of God that is most loving to you as your worshipped form of God. Secondly, find a Guru who has attained your worshipped form of God and who can teach you devotion for the attainment of a desired form of God. The saint or Guru may say something completely different than what your mind desires. He says, let him hold bow and arrow. Whereas your mind may be desiring Murali Manohar, heart captivating form of Krishna holding a flute, in which case there would be an impediment in the ROOPDHYAN, remembrance of God you desire. Therefore, it is essential to have single-mindedness towards Guru, God, and the rules of devotion as taught by Guru. Ananya. Exclusiveness means that the mind should not be attached anywhere else. Simply embrace your Guru, God, and devotional guidelines with an exclusive heart and move forward. You dug 10 feet here but found no water. You dug 10 feet in another place but found no water. You dug 10 feet in a third place. You could spend your whole life digging or not find a well. You will not find water. Continue digging in one place. Don't be afraid of stones and rocks that you may find in the process. Someone said, worship Durgaji. Another said, worship Shankarji. Third said, worship Hanumanji. Fourth person said, Bhairavji is very kind. He quickly gives miraculous powers. Yet a fifth person said, go to Vaishnava Devi. Sixth person said, go to that place. All of this is just the bubble of crazy people. God is equally omnipresent. There is no need to go anywhere. Simply shed tears with a deep feeling of longing and yearning, and He will appear before you. All the various forms of God are one. There aren't distinct personalities of God like we may think. This form of God is very kind and merciful. This form of God is difficult. This form of God quickly bestows His grace. This form of God takes a long time to bestow His grace. All this kind of thinking is naiveness and nonsense. God does not grace without complete surrender. राग दुर्भावना कहतो राधे उदासीन रह राधे 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 राधे. There are people in this Braj who are single-minded toward their Guru, single-minded toward the worshipped form of God. However, those people commit a grave transgression by thinking that Guru, oh, he is just an ordinary man. Such people claim their Guru to be a descension of God, the descension of a gopi, but criticize another Guru. How do you know he is not a Guru? Do you have a scale to measure his divinity? In this Braj, all the gopis whose food dust is desired by Brahma and Shankar were married and had families. They were uneducated and illiterate with children. Who would call them saints? All of you were present during that time. What did we think upon seeing the gopis? Oh, all of them are uneducated, wearing a 4-foot long veil over their heads. They are ordinary women. How can we understand anything? Only saints can recognize saints. It is the language of saints. What can you comprehend? There was a bird sitting on a tree and singing. There were three men sitting under the same tree. One was a wrestler, the other was a devotee, and the third was a businessman. All three had a meeting about what the bird was saying. The wrestler claimed that the bird is saying dand, push-ups, baitak, a physical exercise involving the action of sitting or squatting. Kasarat exercise. The businessman said it is saying Sant, dry ginger, mirch, chili, adarak, ginger. The devotee said he is not saying that. What he is saying is Ram, Sita, Dashrath, Ram, Sita, Dashrath. Therefore, people act according to the inner feelings of their heart. We were present during the descension of Ram and Krishna. We saw them uncountable times. We saw Radhe and Shyam, whose divine names we chant today, but we did not have divine vision. It is described in the Bhagavatam that in the assembly of Kans in Mathura, Krishna and Balram are standing. However, only the saints perceived them as God. The rest of the people perceived them in a different form on the basis of their inner feelings. We cannot attain any devotional benefit without qualification. Oh, don't we hear, don't we read that God resides in our heart? Yes. Do you believe that? Of course. Why wouldn't I? I am a believer of God. Do you believe that God is omnipresent? Yes, absolutely I do. But we don't realize it. We forget. Thus, we should be cautious to not develop negative feelings towards other saints. Greet everyone. We cannot understand what a Mahatma is like. Saints alone can understand their divine dynamics. A very elevated divine personality saint is living a typical family life, and someone disguising himself as perfectly detached from the world is an impostor. How would we distinguish one from the other? We cannot enter their heart. We are not omniscient. सब महारग कृपाल तव राधे, इहे भाव रग राधे, राधे राधे राधे. Thus, we should be cautious to not develop negative feelings towards other saints. Greet everyone. We cannot understand what a Mahatma saint is like. Saints alone can understand the divine dynamics. A very elevated divine personality is living a typical family life. Another disguising himself as perfect detached from the world is an impostor. How would we distinguish one from the other? We cannot enter their heart. We are not omniscient. Oh, but we do hear this Baba saint is like this Baba saint is like this. Well, this concept of hearing what somebody said, all the members of your family life from time to time. Yes, sure, they do. Even a small children learns to lie to his mother and father to fulfill his self-interest. Why did you believe something as being true just by merely hearing about it? I agree. I also lie in the same way. He must also be telling a lie. Plus, we make decisions on the basis of external behavior and appearance. We cannot enter anyone's heart to understand the real truth. Arjun killed millions and yet perceived Radha Krishna everywhere. Hanumanji killed millions of Brahmans and yet perceived Sita Ram in every particle of the world. Now we will think this is impossible. It is impossible for you. They, Arjuna and Hanumanji, have Yogamaya Shakti, which is why they simultaneously perform two actions of an opposite nature and ever remain in their divine state. Shri Krishna bestowed so much love and affection upon the Brajvasis in the Braj and went to Dwarika. He did not return to Braj. Shri Krishna had 16,108 wives in Dwarika. He broke the world record and each wife had 10 children, and all those those children had children. The family was in the millions. In the end, Shri Krishna caused them all to fight with each other and they were all destroyed. What is this all about? Do not apply your intellect to analyze what it's all about. How can you understand what it's all about? Your intellect cannot reach that far. Just think about it faithfully and reach the bliss of the divine Leela. The intellect cannot be applied there for the reason that such Leelas are governed by Yoga Maya. They are two acts of opposite nature. For this reason, you should remain neutral. That is it. That's it. Stay totally neutral. You see, do you all go to the market? Yes. What do you have to buy from the market today? Milk. So when you enter the market, you come across a meat shop. So what do? You continue moving on and come to a shoe store. You see the name Bata, brand name for shoes, and move further ahead and come to a clothing store. Again you walk up the road and finally come to the milk shop. Yes, this is the store I have to buy milk. In other words, you feel an affinity for a goal and remain neutral toward everything else. No enmity, no friendship. If one says, "Hey you, why have you set up a clothing store here and not a milk store?" Oh, don't say that, else you will get beaten up. Oh, there are other people who will be interested in buying clothes. For them, we have set up a clothing store. You want milk? Go to the milk store. Do not have animosity or attachment in the world. Remain neutral. Thus, be single-minded toward your worshipped form of God, the path of devotion as taught by a guru and remain neutral toward everyone else. Be careful not to develop negativity toward others. Always bear this one thing in mind. 9 yogis have described the characteristics of saints, and the characteristics of the most elevated saints is explained in the Bhagavatam. Your beloved Radha Krishna reside in the heart of every soul. It is not just an idea or a notion. The Vedas reveal this truth. The scriptures say that same thing and does Ved Vyas. I realize that the Radha Krishna reside in the heart of every soul, then there would be no question of animosity toward anyone. It's fine to have relational feelings of friendship toward God and Guru. However, do not enmity toward anyone else. You may commit a transgression. Transgression means to think, speak, listen, or read against any saint. This is known as grievous sin. There are 5 kinds of heinous sins. A spiritual transgression is even greater than those, and there is no penance described in the Vedas and other scriptures for it. For this reason, you should remain neutral and focus on your goal. What is happening anywhere is of no concern to you. You should strive to reach your own destination. If you are going to keep stopping and observing everything at every step, then you will never reach your goal and you will find yourself still standing on the road. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Such an amazing explanation about Gavo, Saba, Hillimilli, Radhe. So let's all practice to meditate upon the divine forms of Shri Radha Krishna and let's chant the divine names. Inhale Ra, exhale De, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Whenever we have free time, instead of thinking negative thinkings, we can train our mind to think about God in whatever situation let it be. Let meditating on God should be a priority for us. We need to train our mind. Let's all practice right now. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to download Sanatan Vedic Dharma app and Kripalu app. And don't forget to browse our online shop JKP Literature to buy books and to gift your friends and for yourself to read and to practice in your daily life. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. We'll catch you all soon with another video.